The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our weekly COVID-19 update. I wanted to let everyone know that just like the last couple of weeks, I have everyone in listen-only mode, which means you will not be able to ask questions right out. But as we get to the question portion of the call, if you are on a computer and you can hit the little hand raise button or put your question into the question portion, that would be a good way to ask a question. And then we will also at one point unmute people. So definitely please make sure that you're muted on your end so that when we unmute everyone, we won't be getting a lot of background noise. So again, welcome. Thank you for joining our call. And I'm going to give it over to Jan G.
Hi, this is Jan, President and CEO of the Washington Food Industry Association, and we have a jam-packed agenda today. So much new information has been flowing into our office with the federal and state agencies. Hopefully, we've got some great information for you that's going to make your life just a little easier as you try to keep your stores open and the warehouses flowing. So, Rebecca, do we have our speaker on yet, or should I move into the distilleries?
It looks like she has not joined the call yet.
Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
Speaker.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Chris
great.
Bowen. I had to call in because I was having computer issues.
Okay. Oh, no, that's wonderful. So what I'm going to do then at this point is go ahead and turn it over to Tammy from our staff. So Tammy and Crystal are going to cover a big, important area for us today. Tammy, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as your speaker?
Yeah, Jan, thank you so much. So this is Tammy Hetrick, the Vice President for the Washington Food Industry, and I'm in charge of the labor issues and watching what's going on. I'm on the Paid Family Leave Advisory Committee for Washington State, and I've been watching closely what our federal components are doing. And Chris Bowen is the lead policy analyst at Employment Security. And her and I have been talking about the benefits and how these tie together and what employers can do, that type of thing, and answering questions for everyone. So we thought, well, we'll just kind of do an overview. So in your packet of information, I've done a real high-level overview of the different benefits, the emergency benefits that the federal government has put forth, and our current benefits through the state. And I thought Chris could kind of answer some questions for some of you. But first, I'll just start by doing just a high-level overview for you. So effective April 1st, we'll have new benefits for workers, and these are paid by the employer, but there's some tax credits and reimbursements for you on that. So there's a sick leave benefit, and then there's a paid family and medical leave benefit. I think the real confusion comes in when you're trying to decide what your employees are entitled to. And so Chris, her team put together a really nice one-page overview of the different benefits. And we've done a link to that one also for you. So Chris, if you want to go ahead and just do a overview of kind of what you're working on right now and what your team is helping employers with.
Well, right now we are waiting for guidance from the United States Department of Labor on how we as state unemployment offices are going to be allowed to apply the CARES Act that was signed by the president on Saturday. It does allow an expansion on unemployment insurance, both in the regular UI world and in a disaster or pandemic, in this case, unemployment assistance. We don't know a whole lot on how it's going to be applicable within our current laws. Like I said, we are waiting for guidance from USDOL. But what we can say is what they're expecting is pandemic unemployment assistance is going to be available for most people who don't qualify for regular unemployment insurance. On the regular unemployment insurance, if people exhaust their benefits, they would be eligible for up to 13 more weeks of unemployment benefits. And there is also an additional amount being added to the weekly benefit amount called the Federal Pandemic Unemployment Compensation. And so that is an extra $600 added onto each weekly benefit amount. Like I said, I don't know yet how all of this is going to be applied to our laws in our state, but that is one of the main things that we are waiting for right now. When Tammy and I talked earlier, she mentioned that she wanted me to bring up the different types of leave or paid leave that somebody might be able to take, or what order they should take things in for before filing for unemployment. One of the best things that you can do is if you have a paid sick leave balance or PTO balance before you file for unemployment, it's the preferred method of getting paid, because when you're paid from your employer, you're generally paid your regular full amount that you would normally get. When you file for unemployment benefits, you only get a partial payment of what your full amount is. So, for example, you might get 60% of what your normal wage is. So, if you can use up your leave, you may want to consider that prior to filing for unemployment, because you'll get more money that way. But you don't have to use your paid sick leave or PTO time or anything like that before you file for unemployment benefits. If you do decide to take some paid sick time or paid leave time and file for benefits at the same time, that money that you received from your employer, that is deductible from your unemployment weekly benefit amount. So if you were getting $500 a week, for example, we would deduct the paid leave that you took for 2 days that week, and you would get a lower amount. So you need to know that it would be a less money that you would receive that way. I'm trying to think what else have we been working on this week. Do you have a question?
So I do actually have a question that I've received from a few employers now, is really just understanding with COVID and everything that's going on. There is some relief also for the employer on their experience rating. Is that correct? Or has there been some changes with that?
So right now, well, at the end of the legislative session, at the last minute, there was another bill that passed. And basically what happened is it said that if you have to lay off staff or employees and you put them on standby because you are planning on bringing them back, you can apply for this, we'll call it a buyout. They were provided with, I think it was $25 million in this pot of money, and employers who put their employees on standby and bring them back can apply to get a portion of this money. And what that does is it buys down their benefit charging, and then their experience rating isn't as affected as it would be otherwise.
Okay, and is that a separate application that they need to do then?
Yes, and that application has to be filed by September 30th of this year. There will be more information up on our website as we roll out the rules for that.
Okay, perfect. And then, Rebecca, do you want to see if there's any questions then from anyone yet?
So we do have one question in the box. It says, will the $600 amount from federal be partially applied to individuals for shared work or reduced work hours?
As far as I know, everybody who is going to be eligible for unemployment, regular unemployment insurance, not pandemic unemployment assistance. As far as I know, they will all be eligible for the $600, but again, we're waiting for guidance from USDOL on how that will work.
Okay.
It seems to be so far working a little different than it did during our last recession. So we can't, they tend to change their minds from recession to recession.
Great. And I also have a question from Dave Martin. So Dave, I'm going to unmute you and you're self-muted. So anytime you're ready.
So my question is, with all these employers closing, that people have vacation and PTO owed to them, and they don't have the cash flow to pay them, how's that going to be handled?
That is not a question for the unemployment insurance department. That would be an L&I question, because we don't govern whether or not you're paying employees. We just govern what happens once they're not getting, once they're not working.
Okay,
Or
I
not
was just
working
curious.
full time. Yeah.
And that's a great question, and maybe we can see
It
about
is.
getting labor and industries on our next call.
I've got another question in the box. It says, are we required to get a medical note for an employee that has chosen to take time off of work?
Well, required is, I mean, that's up to you. Whether they're eligible for unemployment, they have to show that they had a reason for not going to work, for example, because of the governor's order, or because they have a vulnerable or immune deficient person at home that they're caring for, and they don't want to bring the disease home with them. It doesn't necessarily, for unemployment purposes, mean they have to have a doctor's note, because they could feel like they've got the symptoms, and the Department of Health has directed people to self-quarantine when they feel like they have symptoms that meet the COVID response.
Another question, how and when should employees take family and medical leave?
So are you talking about the paid family and medical leave also offered by Employment Security, but a different program?
Sophia,
or are you talking about federal FMLA?
I'm going to unmute her so that she
Okay.
can, let me get down the list here. Okay, Sophia, you're unmuted.
I'm specifically asking about the expanded family and medical leave that came with the Families First Coronavirus Response Act.
Okay.
It's supposed to come into effect April 1st through December
Correct.
31st. And sort of wondering how that falls into, when it's, from what we've seen, it seems like employees should first take their paid sick leave and then could move into the the expanded family and medical leave if they qualify. But we're still a little unclear on how and when and in what order they should take that versus unemployment if they have children at home.
Well, generally FMLA, even especially the expanded one, is unpaid. So if they are able to meet the unemployment requirements, they can file unemployment while they're on a leave, but they have to meet the requirements to be eligible for unemployment, which means they have to still be able and available for some work that they can do while under quarantine or taking care of their children or whatever. That's still a requirement. It has to be work that they can do without violating the governor's orders or breaking quarantine.
Okay,
And I think I can expand on that too. This is Tammy. So what they're recommending for the federal paid family leave, which is a very, very narrow allowance of what is required under that, but it does say you need to take your the federal sick leave, that 2 weeks first, and then go into the paid family leave, because the first 10 days is unpaid under that scenario, and so the sick leave will compensate those first 2 weeks, and then the other kicks in.
Okay, and here on the Family First Corona Response Act, it does say that the expanded family and medical leave is paid at 2/3 of the standard wage that the employee makes. So I'm a little confused at why one is unpaid versus one is being paid at 2/3.
There are two, and I don't profess to be a expert on this, but I can say that it's the paid sick leave for part-time employees who are paid at 2/3 the amount. The full-time employees are paid at the full 100% amount of the salary up to a maximum, the cap. As far as what they get paid first, and I believe Tammy is correct that they do have to have the PSL or the paid sick leave first, and then they can go on extended or expanded Family Medical Leave Act, FMLA. That part is unpaid, so they would need to take the paid sick leave first.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Another question in the box, with the 600 federal allowance, would someone be allowed to exceed their historical weekly income when it is added to the regular unemployment payment?
That's all going to depend on their base year that they use to establish their unemployment claim. A base year is basically the first 4 of the last 5 completed calendar quarters, and we use the average of the 2 highest quarters to calculate their weekly their eligibility, their weekly benefit amount, and their maximum benefits payable. So depending on how much they earned during that time, they could get anywhere from 188 to 715, I believe it is right now. And then the 600 would be on top of that. So it's hard for me to say how much they would actually get without having someone's actual base year numbers in front of me. But I'm sure if somebody's eligible for $715 a week, they had a really high base year, and then even adding the 600, they might not be eligible for. They might still not be hitting what they were making before. It's just a best guess.
And
so, Tammy, if we could take a couple more minutes on this one.
Yep.
We don't
Yeah,
have,
and then
we don't have any more questions, so I think we can move on.
oh, perfect. And I was going to say, if you all have questions later, please email them to me, and I can work with Chris. And as new rules come in, we might even have more information for you. So, thank you, Jan. That's it for us.
Hi, Tammy. Sorry, I missed it. We do have another one. Is overtime included in the unemployment calculation?
If it was reported by the employer during the base year, then yes, the wages are, and the hours too. You have to have 680 hours worked in your base year in order to have a valid unemployment claim. The amount of the weekly benefit amount and the maximum benefits payable is based on how the 2 highest quarters in your base year. So if that overtime help boost a couple of quarters up, then yes, it will be used in the calculation.
And then one more. If an employee is already in a self-quarantine environment, as recommended by a physician, are we required to pay the paid sick leave if they were out before the effective date?
I'm not sure about that. I know that it takes effect tomorrow, and it doesn't go retroactive. I think if you're still holding their job for them, maybe. But there is I sent Tammy a link for the DOL questions and answers about that, about the paid sick leave and the expanded FMLA, and I believe that information is covered in that Q&A.
Yeah,
I just don't have it up in front of me.
Yeah. No worries, it is in there. And if before this goes into effect, if they have any accrued paid sick leave, then that's what they would use prior to April 1st.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris and Tammy. Appreciate it so much. And obviously, we're going to learn a lot more, and Chris will be interfacing with Tammy. And as we get more updated information, it will be posted on our COVID-19 webpage. I think, Tammy, also because of the question that Dave asked, there is a whole package of small business benefits, those businesses that are 500 and below, that there's some assistance there to help them pay for employee wages and that then payroll taxes. So Tammy, could we see if we could get somebody from SBA maybe on the call next week to talk about all those benefits that Congress put into that package, and then it may become a little more clear to us how these benefits interface too.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just doing some work on that. So it's a perfect time to get them on the next call.
Okay, great. So thanks very much, Chris. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. We're going to jump over to hand sanitizer, which has been a major challenge. So the FDA has loosened up the regulation on the approval process and posting and all those types of things. And as a result, a lot of our state micro distilleries have gone into the business of producing FDA approved hand sanitizer. And just today, we got 2 great connections, and we have put it up on the website under New Today. Heritage Distillery is ready to start selling 5-gallon containers to our independent grocers. The only drawback about that is that you would have to pick the tanks up at their Gig Harbor site. But in addition, the Distillers Association has put together a network of their distillers statewide who are making FDA-approved hand sanitizer. And there is one person from the association that is coordinating between the retailers, the grocers, and the distillers, telling you where your closest distiller is that is producing the FDA-approved hand sanitizer. So it looks like that area is opening up, and those resources and phone numbers and information is on our website today. The next area we've had a lot of developments in is the whole area of transportation, our trucks. So as you probably all heard today, the Department of Licensing has shut down all the licensing departments. There's some good news behind this also, though. One, they'll be notifying the public that if your personal driver's license is expiring, it will be extended. So will our CDL drivers. Their license will be extended until July 1. The Department of Licensing, and we will have the official document from them in the next day or two, is also going to open one site and reestablish the CDL testing and licensing for the new drivers. They had to get PPE equipment for all the testers before they could let them get in the cabs of the trucks. They are notifying the schools. Some schools have closed down and some have not. They're notifying that they are opening up the testing. We've also been working with the Washington, let me go to their truck registration. We do have some truck registrations that are expiring, and the Department of Licensing has found that quite a few of the subagents have closed their offices, and that people are having a hard time with getting their private automobile as well as their trucks renewed. So Department of Licensing is well aware of that and is working very diligently on it to open that back up. But at the bottom line, if your truck registration expires or your CDL driver's license expires, they're making provisions for that. There's also been a lot of good work done with some of the local municipalities who have waived their nighttime restriction on noise. And in fact, the newest authorization, reauthorization came from Seattle, came through today, and that is also posted on our website under the transportation box. And finally, the Washington Truckers Association, they are matching up their companies, their trucking companies who have extra capacity because they either transport for an industry that's been shut down or for whatever reason they have extra capacity. And we did just post up on our website about an hour before this call started a listing of their members that have advised their association that they have extra capacity to help the warehouses or our retailers. And we're going to continue to interface each day with the Washington Trucking Association to get that list refreshed for you. If you have any specific needs in that area, if you want to submit those to me, I can send them over. Then, well, I'm going to stop there because transportation is a huge chunk of it. Rebecca, are there any questions or hands raised on the issue of transportation and trucking?
There are no hands raised yet. Last time it took a couple seconds for people to start putting their questions up, but so far there are no questions on this section.
Okay. If you do have questions, we can come back to you. So go ahead and raise your hand or type it in. Then it's a whole kind of potpourri of items that have come up. So LNI is going to publish policy/guidelines. We've been working with them all through the weekend on it. Our executive committee provided great input. We were quite concerned with the initial document, but we gave them some very good comments back. We thought it was finalized this morning when we got an email from Labor and Industries that the labor community requested a meeting to discuss the document. So we are not sure at this point what might happen to it. It was in a place that we could live with it. The one section that is going to be in the final document is they are requiring employers to add an additional section to their APP. And we worked with Ern West and our safety director for our retro program, and he wrote up a model section and we posted it today on our website that you can take and massage whatever way it fits for your company, but there is some suggested language as a starter. And also it's a good time to remind everybody that if you do have a test positive, we've got a great document that we put up on Friday last week. It was a revised document, much better than the previous one we had obtained, about what to do if you have a test positive. And of course, always notify your local health department. But more importantly it is OSHA reportable incident. So don't forget to report to OSHA if you have COVID-19 positive test. If you have any questions as I'm going through this list, raise your hand or type it in. I'm going to keep going through the list. There's multiple subjects, and we'll just come back.
We do have one question.
Okay,
Sorry.
go ahead.
Regarding the want for proper social distancing, is there any guidance or advisories out there for transportation companies that need to train new hires in a vehicle cab?
That is a very good question, and I can call over to Sherry at the Washington Trucking Association and ask her. She and I have been working together almost daily on these trucking things, but I've not seen anything. The only thing that I've been told is that Department of Licensing would not get in the cab to do the testing until they had the full set of PPEs. So, but you are correct. If you've got a new licensee that has their learner's permit, they've got to have the experienced driver with them. So let me check that. And do you see who that's coming from, Rebecca, so I can respond directly back to them?
Yeah, I can give you that information.
All right. We'll get the answer and respond directly to you.
And then one more. OSHA reportable. Do you report regardless? For example, if they got the virus from a family member?
If you have an employee that's been on your premises that tests positive, yes, you have to report it. It's OSHA reportable. We even had an incident where it was a janitorial service, so it was a contractor only working during the nighttime when very few employees were around, but that would be OSHA reportable also. If you have any test positive within your premises of employees or contractors. Okay, I'm jumping to the Department of Health, the WIC division. Of course, we got a waiver on inventory. I think we were the first state to get that right off the bat, but we have been waiting for the waiver on substitutions because you're all having problems with meeting the exact requirements of WIC. Well, we finally got the waiver this morning from the federal government, and I got an email from the director of the Department of Health, WIC, saying what they have the authority to do and which items, which category of items they're going to be setting up waivers on. And they are in the process of doing the list, inputting the APLs. So when you do substitute, the authorization will go through. So you can look at that letter and get a sense of which items they're going to allow substitution on. And then we will post it as soon as they're ready to go and have the APLs totally inputted for approval. I also talked to them about pricing and making sure, because of the way prices are fluctuating, they are going through that daily. They said sometimes every couple hours they're going through the pricing because of the fluctuations. So if anybody has a challenge with the Department of Health WIC on getting your new prices authorized, please let me know, because they are trying to really do their best job and they totally understand what you're experiencing. Next is Department of Health in the Food Safety Division. So they too had been working on the document all weekend long, and interestingly, the L&I document and the Department of Health document that they were sending me the drafts on were in major conflict in several areas. So we got them talking, which was extraordinary. And so they have really tried to align things. We don't have the final document from Department of Health. There were several areas within their guidelines that we had a lot of concern about and really push back on it with reason. And they did say today that it really helped them refocus their attention on what's important. And again, they're back to that 6 foot social. How could I forget the word after saying it 100 times a day?
Social
Yes.
distancing.
Yes. So we will have those guidelines, I'm sure, in the next day or two, and we'll get those posted. The other thing that came up today is one of the counties banned the dispensing of bulk foods. And so I called the state because there's supposed to be consistency in all of these things. The counties are not supposed to go and do their own thing. And so the Department of Health is trying to look at a policy. They're talking with Snohomish County as to what criteria they use to ban. And so questions that they asked me today is, could I get feedback from our members on if you have a bulk food self-serve area, do you still have it open? And does it make a difference to you if it's a scoop to self-serve bulk foods or if it's a gravity dispenser? And depending on either of those, what have you done in terms of frequency of cleaning since COVID-19 has been within our society? So I need a lot of input, especially from those of you who have these bulk food dispensers on if you agree they should be shut down or if they should be left open, but certain guidelines should be recommended. So appreciate that input very quickly because we're trying to get consistency statewide. This broader document we will be getting from them in the next 24 to 48 hours on a whole bunch of different things on the whole issue of gloves or no gloves and just the whole requirements that they're looking at from a food safety provision. DSHS also is distributing $41 million in new benefits. About half of that got loaded on to current recipient cards today that they'll be able to spend during the month of April. Those benefits, so their March benefits will continue into April, plus another about $21 million will be applied to the April benefits and will be applied upon the day that their normal benefits are applied. So most of that's in 1 to 10 days, the first day of the month to the 10th. Some of them are into the later staggered date. We have not gotten all the information on the additional SNAP benefits that Congress has allocated for expecting that there will be many more people applying for SNAP benefits. But as soon as we get that information from our DSHS and FNS in what they're projecting, we'll make sure our members know so you can look at your inventory in the stores. And then finally, child care for grocery workers is a huge issue to the UFCW. And they did work, as well as some of our Seattle grocers worked with the mayor in Seattle. And Seattle is funding child care to a certain level, actually a very healthy level. And they have named grocery workers as, vital workers and that have access to this child care benefit. Tammy is having a Seattle phone call. When is that, Tammy, that you're holding the call with the mayor's office?
That is Thursday from 1 to 2.
Okay, and that invitation has been sent out to all of our Seattle members, and if you didn't get it, and King County, if you did not get it, contact Tammy or anybody in our office and just ask to get it, and Tammy will make sure that you're included. So we have sent a message to the governor's office, and so has UFCW, in looking at state resources to assist with child care to help keep our workers in the stores servicing our communities. So that's my potpourri of issues and new information that we've received. And before I turn it over to Kat, I am going to ask Rebecca, are there any questions or hands raised?
We don't have a question, but there is a comment about the bins, and it says, we have gravity fed. We wipe down the counter below as well as the pens used to mark the bags. So that's, and there are no.
Okay, I would, from whoever submitted that, if you could tell me how frequent, and do you have somebody that is assigned to that area that's responsible for the frequency of wiping that down and cleaning the pins and that type of thing? Just a little more information. That's the kind of stuff Department of Health is asking us for. And if any of you have an opinion on it, please send me an email.
So
appreciate it.
Pam, you're unmuted if you would like to, if you can speak. Oh, she said, sorry, no speaker. She says that we do it, we do approximately every hour.
Okay.
And then we
Good input, appreciate it.
We do have one hand raised. Elvira, if you have a question.
Yes. Hi, how's everybody? A quick question.
Hi, Elvira.
Hi. About reporting to OSHA. Is there something that I can get emailed so that I can send to my managers so they can have the document that they need to call?
Yes, in fact, we'll go ahead and post that up on our COVID-19.
Perfect.
Okay, we'll get that posted up so everybody has access to that.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank you so much.
Request.
No problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate those webinars. They give us a lot of information. And unfortunately, this was one of these things that I did not know we have to report this. I was like, uh-oh, now I have to.
That reminds me, Jan, is I didn't get to tell everyone about the required poster. We've put that on our website, and that also everyone needs to have that poster that notifies your workers on the different leave availability, and whether they're teleworking or in the store, that poster needs to be provided to them.
Yeah, it's a federal poster, a federal mandate, and they're the ones that put the poster together that Tammy has put up there for your access. And because all of our association employees are working at home, it got emailed out to all of our employees. So same needs to happen with you. Is you need to email it or put it up in your employee restroom, workroom, wherever you put your posters. So thanks, Tammy. That's great. Okay, Kat, you've got a couple topics to cover with us.
Hi, everyone. This is Kat Holm, your Legislative Director and Legal Counsel. I just have 3 very small, very quick things, so hopefully we can get off a little early today. The first one is last week we had talked about plastic bag bans in different jurisdictions. So currently, I would say about like 10 to 15 have suspended or amended their local ordinance regarding plastic bag bans. And we have that list on the website. So if you go under state resources, it says Washington State Plastic Bag Ban Jurisdiction Waivers. And if you click on it, that has a nice little list of what jurisdictions have waived it, what they have done, and then below the ones that have not, and whether they're going to. As you can see, we have multiple that we are still trying to work with and trying to get them to waive, but we are trying to get to the point where the plastic bag bans are suspended entirely during this crisis. So that's the first thing. And with that, the Department of Health and Labor and Industries are recommending that if you are choosing to continue to let your customers bring in their own bags, then customers should be bagging their own groceries. So this is just as a precaution and better only for stores that are continuing to allow their customers to bring in their reusable bags, because there are stores that are prohibiting the reusable bags at this point. So there's that. The second thing is, so with the Pharmacy Quality Assurance Commission has made significant changes to enhance the safety of customers and employees. So I have been sending out emails as we get the information. So if you are not on my pharmacy list and you just happen to have a pharmacy, please email me and just let me know that 1, you have a pharmacy, and then 2, I can add you to the pharmacy listserv that we have for our stores that do have pharmacies. And then the last thing is that this is a little bit of a weird one, and this is regarding liquor. So throughout other states, consumers and stores have been receiving phone calls telling people that liquor sales will be stopped starting at 3 that day, so they need to go in and buy all the liquor that you can. And so this is requiring retailers to stop shipments. It's actually starting panic buying of liquor. And we just want to be very clear that this is a phone scam. This is not something that is happening at this point. And so it's just a prank. And if something like this were to happen, you would receive something from WFIA. So if you're receiving a phone call, it is a prank. Do not do that. And so if you do receive a phone call, just let us know and we'll make sure that we talk to the right authorities for that. So does anyone have any questions about those 3 things from me?
We have a hand raised from Kenna Eaton, so I'm going to unmute you if you want to ask your question.
Oh, yeah. Hey, sorry. I don't have a question about the pharmacy. I was responding to the bulk question.
Go ahead.
Great.
Okay, great. Yeah, we do have a bulk department. We have closed or limited access to the bulk department. Only 4 people are allowed in at once. They must wash their hands first. And then we're going around about every 10 minutes, wiping down as many of the commonly used surfaces as we can. And then, of course, at night, doing a major wipe down of all the handles.
So did you rent one of those portable hand washing stations? Is that what you did?
We do have one outside the store. We just also happen to have a sink in our bulk department that we're watching people wash their hands before they walk in.
Okay, excellent to know. And it's gravity or scoop?
Both.
Okay, all right. Excellent to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have about 10 more minutes for just to open it up for any other topic. We did not receive any questions in advance to the call for us to add on to our agenda, but if anybody has a suggestion for next week or a question now that we can research and get back to on, we're happy to take it. All the staff are right here on the call, waiting to serve you.
So I do have a couple of questions in the box. We have hung the federal poster. Do we need to notify employees of this information, or is the poster in the break room enough?
If you have any employees that are working away from the workplace, you need to email it out. If all of your employees are still reporting to the site, then just putting it up in the employee break room is adequate.
And then we did get one person who says, I'm sorry, I did not hear what poster is available that needs to be put up.
Okay, Tammy, do you want to explain that?
Yeah, so the federal government has provided a poster of the different leave benefits, and we've put that on our website also for you, and that just needs to be posted somewhere for all your employees to see and have access to. So if they're all coming to the store, it would just need to be posted at the store. If you have anyone who works remotely, you'd need to send that to them directly. And you can, like I say, get that from us, but it's a federal poster on all the leave benefits that are available through this COVID site.
Tammy, where on the website was that link posted?
So it's under the labor issues. I've asked Melissa to highlight it and put attention on it, that it's a required poster, so everyone can see right away.
So it says on the website, required posting for employers, and it's right there. You have an English one and a Spanish one for you to open up, print out, and put it on your break room wall.
Under the category of labor. There it is.
Yep. If you're on your computer, you should be able to see it on your screen. This is what it looks like, and it's right here on our website.
Okay.
Okay, we have...
Great, Chris.
Who did you say had the guideline for customers bringing their own bags?
It is going to be, well, CDC has put it in their document, but the document that Labor and Industry and Department of Health are going to come out with in the next 24 to 48 hours are both addressing that issue. And they were in conflict when they started, but I think they've reached the agreement that it's your decision to allow reusable bags, but you need to have your customers bag it. So that will be in the new direction that we get from Illinois and Department of Health in the next couple days, which you will receive. It will be posted on our COVID-19 website. But CDC also put it in their guidance also. They discourage the reusable bags, but
Jan, you blanked out. Did you have more to say?
No.
Oh, okay. It was so sudden that I thought that we lost you.
No.
Okay. The federal poster you mentioned, is that just if we have less than 500 employees?
That's for everyone. They should all post that.
All employers?
Okay. So I have a hand raised from Kyle, but Kyle, I'm sorry, it doesn't look like I can mute you because you didn't enter your PIN. So if you wanted to type it in. And that is the only hand raised. And the questions, we do have one more question. We were just informed a few minutes ago that another third-party rep was positive. They interacted with one of our associates on the 16th, 19th, and possibly the 20th of March. What are we required to do in this situation?
Did they interact on your property at your business, I'm assuming is what you're saying. That is, well, any employee that could have or did come in contact needs to be put on 2 weeks at home. It needs to be reported to your local health department. We have, and Melissa, you might need to help me here, on our website, we posted on Friday some new updated document on if you have a test positive, here's how to respond. And Melissa, can you help identify where that document is?
And I think it's under best practices. If you scroll down, I think that's where we put it.
Oh, I think you're right.
Rebecca, you can keep going down.
Down
we moved some stuff around today, so I apologize for not knowing exactly where it's at.
No, it should be the very first thing on general.
Oh, at the top.
Resources.
Yeah, at the top. I'm sorry.
Protocol for COVID-19 positive tests.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's the document I was looking for. That's an excellent document. It tells you step by step to go through. But even
so
if it's a third party, if they've been in your workplace.
3, which it says steps to be taken. Hold on. Steps to be taken when an employee, facility visitor is exposed or in close contact with an individual who is positive for COVID-19.
So you should read through that document, all of you.
I think
all of you should go ahead and read through it because it's an excellent document
for this situation.
Okay.
Kyle, you know how to find us if you want to send us a question that you could not enter.
Well, he did enter it. It says, have you heard anything new from the governor's office and changes? But he doesn't specify which changes.
Hello?
We've not heard anything from the governor's office. They've got a new system where you type in your questions and it isn't working very well. We got our answers a lot faster before because we're trying to find out some of our construction sites have been shut down and some have not. We've been trying to get clarity on that, and it's not very helpful right now. So we're even still trying to get clarity on construction of grocery stores. So we do the best we can do. Ask your questions. We'll try to get any clarity, but no, nothing new from the governor's office. Okay, well, you all know where to find us, and we're here to just help you get through this. We appreciate you all checking in, and we will be back with you next week and bring you more information. In the meantime, we'll be posting all the updates we talked about today. Thank you very much. Thank you to Tammy and Kat, Rebecca, Melissa, Robert, thank you all for helping our members make it through the COVID-19. Have a good day.